It's pumpkin time. Are you excited? I certainly am. I love pumpkins, and we're going to make one today. Okay, Beaches and Bros, today is the day. Welcome back. Kristen here with Enchanted Yarnworks, and I'm super excited for you because we're going to finally put all of our little skills together that we've learned over the past few weeks. We're going to make some decoration for our home for the season. I am thrilled, and I hope you are too. So we're going to take if you've got the same yarn, if not, that's okay. But what we're going to need today is our loops and threads, Charisma yarn in pumpkin, and you could either choose the caramel or the cappuccino. But regardless, you just need a 5-weight yarn and your 8mm hook, and we're rearing to go today. So make sure you're subscribed, that notification bell is dinged, and hit that like button to show me some love. And let's go ahead and get started on our first project. Oh, it's time. We get to make our first pattern. Oh, I'm excited. Are you excited? I hope so. Okay. What we need today, of course, as usual, our Susan Bates 8mm hook, because the yarn we are using, that is what's recommended. We are going to need our thread needles, yarn needles. Again, I have my lovely little tin linked down below. A pair of scissors. We will need stitch markers to stitch for the ends of our rows to make sure we know where to end and begin. I am going to be using my new spiral metal ones. I am absolutely in love with these. If you have not seen any of my other videos, these are metal and they're super cute and they're easy to work with. I have not yet used them on finer weight yarns, but they work perfectly well for our bulky weight yarn here. They're not going to slip off. Love it. If you don't have stitch markers yet, that's fine. If you have safety pins, grab those. They work just fine for that. Okay, put these over here for now. And then the yarn we're using is Loops and Threads by Michaels. This is Charisma. It is an acrylic yarn. It is a bulky 5-weight. And like I said, it calls for an 8mm. So the label came off before they sent it to me from Michaels, and they taped it on so nicely. This is color pumpkin. Okay, how fitting. Yeah, so here we go. What we are going to do, so that was our outside end. So usually that means our inside, it's not far behind. There we go. Boom. A little bit of yarn barf, and that's okay. It's not too bad. Oh, as a disclaimer, since I have to do my legal duties, if you decide to purchase anything from my links down below, I am an associate or an affiliate, and I may receive a commission for any of those qualifying purchases. So thank you in advance. Didn't want to leave that out. Don't want to get in trouble. But yes, I do have the hooks and the stitch markers and my pin tin, needle tin, not pin tin, excuse me, linked down below. Oh, I forgot, we also need stuffing. So polyfill stuffing or whatever stuffing you can find, we will need that for our little pumpkin. Before we fully get started though, I do wish to make note of, I want to show you another pumpkin I did. These are going to be the easiest pumpkins I think that you're ever going to do. So I just kind of completed this one. I don't have the top done yet, the stem, which is perfectly fine. This pumpkin, see if I can zoom out just a little bit more for you, is done in single crochet, back loop only. Like I said last week, we are going to be working back loops this week. And you see how it gives those nice ridges. But both of these pumpkins, how we do this half double crochet pumpkin is exactly the same way to do the single crochet pumpkin if you decide you want to give this one a try as well. You're just using a different stitch. Really, we are just making a big rectangle using whatever stitch we are doing. In this case, this one is single crochet. Today we're doing a half double crochet in the back loop only, and you're going to make it as big as you want. That's what's so fantastic about this pattern, is it's adjustable and customizable. So you will do chains as far as height goes. Okay, this one is 18 stitches. Okay, it's 18 stitches tall. So I did 19 and then turned, right? The one we are doing today is going to be 25 stitches tall. And however many rows you do determines how wide and or fat your pumpkin is going to be. Okay. And this one is 38 rows. Okay. So let me put this one back aside and let's get started over here. So our half double is going to make us it's going to get us the height or chubbiness of our pumpkin faster. Let me zoom back in with fewer rows. So I'm going to actually leave a fairly long tail because we're going to use this bottom tail to tie, to cinch up and tie up the bottom. Okay. So again, I'm wrapping and then I'm going to start. Now I'm starting all the way here in the middle, it seems, right? It works the same. I just stick my hook in there, wrap it, and pull through. There is my slip knot. Okay. So because this is going to be 25 stitches per row. So we need 27 single crochets because we need 2 to turn with, remember? So we need 27. Now, of course, make sure you make your chain a little bit looser. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Seems to be caught up down there. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. Now, in our last video, we talked about front loop, and back bump, or top, bottom, and back bump. I'm not going to worry about back bumps on this because we do want to be able to connect this together at the end. And it's going to give it a different look if I did a back bump. So we're just going to continue where we were. So this one, we're doing third chain, excuse me, from the hook. So 1, 2, and this is 3. And we are doing our half double crochet. So remember, yarning over, inserting into the top loop here, yarning over. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over again and pull through all 3. Now, I am going to put a stitch marker right here before I forget. And that is going to tell us where our last stitch goes on the way back. Okay. I highly advise doing this, especially if you're for beginning, so that if you lose count or forget how to count, it happens. No judgments. You don't accidentally grow or shrink your rows because you don't know where to stop, and neither you add another at the end because these chains here can be tricky, or you think, oh, it's too far, and then you go not far enough, and then you start to shrink your rows. So highly recommend doing this. Now we're going to continue. We have to do 25 across. So this is 2, 3. I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit because I think that we need to get a little bit closer to my work without me feeling like I got to stretch. So 1 second. All right, let's give that a try. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3. 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and last one is 25. Okay, so as you're going along, definitely, I'm not asking you or suggesting that you have super tight tension, but I'm going to suggest that if you can, you know you're new and it's fine. Try to tighten up your tension just a little so it's not super duper loose, because you don't want huge holes in here that that the stuffing can come out through, if that makes sense. All right. So if you need to, go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and finish down this row, and then I will see you at the beginning of the next row. Okay, at the end, so we turn, and then we chain 2. And now our chains are not counting as stitches in this pattern. So we are working directly into the back loop, always, of each row. We yarn over. This is our back loop, and this is our front loop. This would be our third loop, if you remember from my bonus video last week. This would be the third loop right here. Now, working in a third loop does change things a little bit, and it gives you kind of a ridge look like this, because it folds your top pieces over. But we're not going to do that today. We're just working in our back loops. So yarning over into the back loop, and we're going to go all the way down again. But I'm going to mark the top of the stitch so we're not confused. Okay, so 1, back loop, 2, 3, 4, and there's 5. So we've gotten through 5. So what I want to do is you go ahead and pause the video and finish all the way down, and I'm going to go all the way down to the end, and I will meet you down there. Okay? Okay, here we are. We have 24. Now here is 25. So remember, as I was saying, marking your stitch is important, because I could easily do this guy here and then say, oh, I have one more because of the way this chain is. And I would want to stitch over here and make another without counting. That would give me 26 stitches. I only need 25, which is right here. But if I wasn't counting, I mean, it looks like that would be where my last stitch would go, doesn't it? A little bit. So definitely want to mark your stitches. I'll be honest with you, I was not counting this whole time because sometimes I stop counting, and I know you will too. We all do it, no shame. And then we end up with a shrinking or a growing pattern that we're trying to create. So there we are. So here's our first 2 rows. Now you're going to make this as long as you want. It all depends on the fattiness, thickness. What's the best way to say that? Of your pumpkin that you want. Okay, I am going to aim for at least 28 rows. So I'm going to go ahead and work through those, let you get through yours. So go ahead and pause and work through yours, get to 28 rows, and then we'll see where we're at together. Okay, so we have done, I know I said I was going to do 28 rows, but I changed my mind because it didn't look like this was going to be chubby enough for our height. So I did 35 rows. Okay. If you're wondering what this is, I did have to add some yarn because I used the end of an old skein and then the beginning of a new one. So I started here and this is all new skein, but it's not a big deal because it's going to be on the inside. And so here we are at the end. This is the 35th row. And what I'm doing is I'm going to turn and we're going to connect these together. Okay. So let me zoom back in a little bit. So we finished here. And I'm just going to chain 1. Whoops. What we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch this together. So we're going to readdress slip stitching and come back to that. And because I want to, I'm a little extra, but I don't know, I like the way things look. Because we have a ridge here every 2 rows, I want to kind of keep that going because we're going to turn this inside out. This is the inside and I need to move these to the other side. But I'm going to turn this inside out so that our seam looks like it matches in there. Okay. So what we're going to do is, remember, we have our 3 different loops with our half double crochet. We have our back loop, our front loop, and then down here we have our 3rd loop. Okay, so we've done back loop only, BLO abbreviation, for this whole project. Now we are just going to close it up using front loop. And what that's going to do is it's going to send the back loop to the back side and it's going to give it this little texture, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So we've chained 1. And now we're just going to go into slip stitching again. I'll go slow into our front loop and then into our first stitch of our chain space of our chains that we did at the beginning. So we have 2 loops down here. We're just going to go under both of them. We're not even going to, I'm going to keep it simple for you and not even worry about trying to be extra. Okay. So then we just go into there. Remember, yarn over. We have 2 loops and then we just pull this one through the first one. That is our slip stitch. Okay. So it's kind of like a half single crochet if you remember single crochets. So in, and then our next space here, yarn over, pull through, and slip through. We're just going to keep doing that with our front loops, not our 3rd loop, which is down here, our front loop. So back loop, front loop, and then 3rd loop. Make sure you don't get those confused. Okay, so into the next. There we go. So I think this pumpkin will use probably about the entire skein of yarn-ish. And then we have to cinch the bottom, stuff it up, and then cinch the top, and then we get to make our stem and then sew that on. Now you can continue with and make a stem, or if you want, you could use like a piece of cinnamon stick, or gosh, people find different things that they may use for their pumpkin stems, whatever works for you. But I'm definitely trying to make these as simple as possible so you can work through it and then be proud. Be proud of the hard work that you put in. And you can be like, look what I made. Absolutely. So, okay. We're getting closer. So again, I want to kind of show you, you have the two loops and then they just form over the whole space made from our foundation row. Okay, so we should have two more left. And we do. There we go. All right. So next, I'm going to just pull this a very long tail because we're going to need it for sewing this closed. But actually, before I do that, because I'm not sure if you guys want to keep it looser like this, or if we want to squish it up tight. So I'm going to wait to cut this until I have the bottom cinched, and then I have the stuffing in, okay? So what I need to do is flip this back the other way, and I need to put these back on the other side because they're going inside, and that's where they're going to stay. See, there we go. Okay, so now we need our yarn needle. Okay. I know this might not seem very long, but it's going to work itself around. Okay, so what we do is we go down. We're weaving in and out, so we're going down this way and then back up this way, and then the next stitch down this way and back up this way. See if we need it to be a little closer. Okay, down this way, up this way. I'm kind of just grabbing these here as well and over here. Okay, I'm going to pull this a little bit. Well, we started right there. Okay. There wasn't much to pull. Silly me. Okay, so down this way. And then back up this way. So this is actually also, if you haven't noticed, an easy way to make one of those cowls, like the scarves, like infinity scarf, but shorter. They're not as long. Exactly the same way you would make that. So you can just take your half double crochet or double crochet and make it as wide as you want with your stitches, and then as long around. So it's the same thing. And then you just close in the sides and then weave in the bottoms. Don't close the bottom like this. And then that gives you a nice winter wearable for you. Easy peasy. You could even use the same yarn, whatever color you like. All right, we are almost around. And I've been pulling it a little as I go just because my tail is not super, super long. But you don't have to do that if your tail's longer. Okay, so I'm back at the beginning. Let me come back up here. And this is about where we started. And now, here we go. Get to pull. Now it is going to be a little bit bulky because this is a bulky yarn. And these are bulky stitches, and that is okay. Just be careful as you're pulling not to, super, super pull it so that it breaks. Now, yes, there's a little hole there. You know what? This is a larger pumpkin. You know what? This is also how you could make a hat. I'm telling you. I'm showing you how to make a bunch of things all at one time with the same kind of pattern. How cool is that? Okay, so now I'm going to kind of go around again just with these top areas, and that's going to help pull it together a little bit more. And I'm going over the top, not the inside. That makes sense. But yep, this is really one of the simplest patterns that you can find or that you can use. Like I said, I've already got 3 different things we can make with it. We can make pumpkin, we can make a beanie, you can make the cowl. Yep. And you can make it any size you want. Just use different yarn, different stitch. Like the single crochet stitch I showed you with the pumpkin earlier is going to make it a little bit smaller. Okay, see, we went all the way around and over the top, and that kind of closes that in a little bit better, as you can see. So now I'm just going to go back and forth a little bit, pull it tight. Now this is either going to be the top or the bottom. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It depends on which one looks better and you want wherever. If you choose to do the stem with me, then you can cover up the uglier one, per se, with the stem. And then nobody will know. All right, so here I think is going to be maybe my last one. See how that's looking. And you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Nothing in nature is perfectly made. Nothing is perfectly the same. Nothing is exact. So if you want to keep with nature, by all means, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so I did a little knot there. I'm sorry, that might have been too fast. Let me do another one. So I'm just going through and see there's a loop I'm going through that just like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with sewing, just kind of pull that through like that and pull it tight. And now I'm just going to send my needle down through the inside, and that puts my tail in here where I don't have to worry about it. And I am not even going to worry about cutting it because it's going to be part of the stuffing. Next up, we have stuffing. So that's our base thus far. Okay. Zoom out some more. I have my stuffing right next to me. Okay, so we're going to stuff. This one's going to be nice and fat. Okay, so I have a huge bag of fiberfill over here. And when it comes out, it is absolutely in a bunch of bunchy bunches. So you want to break it up so that it doesn't go in there like that, and then it looks like cellulite. I mean, I'm not judging cellulite. I mean, who doesn't have cellulite? Everyone has cellulite, right? But kind of don't want our pumpkin to really look like that. So again, zoom out some more. Maybe not that much. Okay. Now, if you don't want your pumpkin to be this rotund, this round, then you don't do as many rows. A skinnier pumpkin would be definitely about 25 rows, 28 rows, like I was aiming for. But I don't know. This one was tall, and we have taller stitches, so I definitely wanted to make a big pumpkin. I always end up making my pumpkin smaller than I think, so we're going for the all today. Okay, it's getting there. Now it's still not very firmly packed, so we're just kind of putting it in. I'm gonna swoosh it around, and then we'll see how it looks and see how we want to continue with it. Okay, so in the comments, let me know, how's it going? What do you think? How are you feeling about it? Are you trying it? Are you doing it while watching the video? I'm always here to ask questions, to answer questions. So please don't hesitate. This is our big pumpkin. Look at that. Super excited. So I think we can stuff a little bit higher. So obviously the larger your pumpkin is going to be, the more stuffing you're going to need. I have found out in the past that I have overachieved and have not had enough stuffing before. It's totally a possibility. Okay. And you know what? Sometimes it's even cheaper to buy pillows and take the stuffing out of them and use them to stuff your projects. That's totally a thing. All right. I think this is my biggest pumpkin. I'm not kidding. All right, so let's see, let me close this up. Let's see how we're going to be. This kind of gives me an idea of where it's going to be at. And if I want some more, I think that's probably good. Okie dokie. So now you need to decide so we can just close this up like I did the first one. And it will genuinely just look like this, okay? Like the first one. All right. Or I can close it up, and then if we pull the strings, it's going to give us more definition, more like pumpkin definition. Let me see if I can kind of fake it here. Gives us more pumpkin definition. Okay. Let's just make it regular. I'm going to keep it simple for you guys. Where are my scissors? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, find my end, and let's cut it about that long. So it's about, gosh, 2 feet long maybe. Okay, pull this out this way. I don't need my stitch marker anymore. And then we're just going to weave it like I did. So I will just fast forward this section just so we can get through this a little bit faster. And since you did see me weave the bottom, it should be okay, I think. So I will fast forward this section. Oh, and definitely be careful to hold this up, because your stuffing might get pulled through and then it's going to get all over your yarn there. All right, so I am back around. Now I'm just going to pull. There we go. And like before, going to go through the top. I'm sure this is easier to see than when I did the bottom, because bottom had all the sides that were kind of folded in on itself. Let me zoom back. There we go, look at that. See? We'll close it up nicely. Okay, so here is our big fat pumpkin. So it'll make it easier now for me to explain the whole stuffing it around. So when you stuff it around, or you take your string like so, okay, and then you go up through the middle and then come out the top, and then you do that in quadrants all the way around, and that gives you that defined edge of the pumpkin. So if you want to do that later after you stuff it, by all means, you're more than welcome to. I kind of want this to be just a simple fat pumpkin pillow for right now. Okay. And then actually I'm not sure. Let's see. I could send this down here. And just make it a little tighter, make it flatter. So that if you don't want to do the quadrant thing, you could make it flatter by doing this. You send your top tie off tail down through the middle, and then you'll tie it off down here. If I'm giving you guys way too much, I'm sorry. Just want to give you options to make it your own, but that makes it flatter without doing all of the shaping, which is kind of cool. And you can make it as loose as you see, or as flat as you want. I'm going to leave it a little floofier. Everybody has flat pumpkins and all that. I kind of want kind of want a fatter one, a taller one. When I was a kid, we went to the pumpkin patch and I got a really tall, big pumpkin. My brother, who's older than me, got a smaller pumpkin. When it came time to carve said pumpkins, he lied and said that he got the big pumpkin and he stole it from me. So maybe that's why I like tall pumpkins, because I never got to have my big pumpkin. Anywho, so let me know down below if you prefer fat, squatty pumpkins or tall, sturdy pumpkins. What do you prefer? Okay, so I just did a little weaving down here. That's all I've done, and I'm going to do one more pass through all of the, stitched together stuff. That's going to kind of hold that there, and then I'm just going to cut this off like so. So, okay, so next up you could pick your top and your bottom. I think this is a better top for me, and you could either glue on a cinnamon stick or whatever you choose for your stem, or you can hang out with me for a little bit longer and we will make a stem just for the top. All right, let's get this stem started. So, like I said last week, you can choose between two colors of the options that I put on. Now, you can pick whatever yarn you want for this project. Remember, it is your creativity. But of the two brown options, there was the caramel and the cappuccino. I personally am going to use the caramel today just because I think it kind of gives more of that, I don't know what's the look I'm saying, more of a dried out pumpkin stem look, in my opinion. So that's what we're going to use. Let me go ahead and show you the small pumpkin. This is the stem I made. And then we're going to do a round here. And I'm going to show you how to do all that. So that's what we're going to do. Now, this is customizable as well. You can make it as tall, as short, as fat as you want. Because, all stems come in different sizes as well. And like I was saying, with the sizes of the stems, we're probably going to want a bigger stem than this one here for our big pumpkin. So what we are going to do, this is all chaining and slip stitching. You're getting the gamut of almost every stitch that we have learned thus far, minus the double crochet. That one we have not done today. So remember, we are doing slip knot, and now we're chaining for height, however tall we want it to be. So this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I chained 9 for this one. I think I might do 10 for our big one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. 9 and 10. So let me zoom back out one more time. So this is about how far off of the pumpkin that would sit. I think that's probably tall enough. Zoom back in. And we are going to not work in back bumps. We're going to work in our top loop. So we are slip stitching all the way back. Second from the hook. So here's our first. Here's our second. Okay. So remember our slip stitch. We go into our loop, yarn over. We have 2 loops on the hook, and we take this hoop and loop and pull it through our first loop. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and here's 9. Okay, so then now we're going to turn, and we'll chain. And what we're going to do is we're going to do slip stitch in the back loop only, as many rows as we need to, then when we put it together, it's going to be as thick as we want it to be. Okay, so did I chain 1? So now we're in the back loop here. This is our front loop of our chain, and here's our back loop. Not our chain, excuse me, our slip stitch. So again, slip stitching. All right, see, and that kind of gives us a nice little texture here, which would kind of be how a stem may look. So we're turning and chaining 1, and we're going to continue this process for a few more rows. So what I'm going to do to save us time is I'm going to kind of speed up and fast forward through here, because I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing 9 slip stitches, turning, and then chaining 1 for as many rows as I need to, like I said, get the thickness of the stem that I'm looking for. Okay, so that was our first row. This is our third row. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward through here. Okay, so I did 9 rows, and that folded together is going to make it a little bit thicker. When you do decide on your rows, definitely make sure that you are doing an odd number, because we want to make sure our starting tail is opposite of our finishing tail, because we're going to close up this side with our starting tail. Okay, so here we go. We're going to finish this up. Chain 1, close this up, just like we did with our pumpkin. Then back loop, and then in each one of the spaces we are slip stitching all the way down. Okay, so here is our stem thus far. That long little tail there for right now. And this is why I advise that you have this over here, because this is open now. Now a smaller stem like this one that I did doesn't really need the end closed up, but this one's larger, so there's like a big hole there. So we definitely want to close that up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. You've seen me close up everything so far in this video, so I'm just going to save us some time. and I'm going to pause. I'll give you time to work on this if you're working on it with me, and then I'll see you when I'm done with that. Okie dokie. So I just gently went around, didn't pull it too tight, but that just closes it there. And I will come in here, do a little weaving, and then I'm going to send this all the way down the middle, like so. And there it is. Okay. So at this point, let me zoom out a little bit again. At this point, we can make a choice of putting the stem on as is, which I actually kind of like it like that instead of the other way, which I think we're going to do. Opposed to this way. This one didn't work out the way I wanted. So we're not going to do that. If you would like to know how to do that, send me a message, leave me a comment, and I will get back and show you. So we're going to put this on simple. So what we need is a nice long tail. Okay. Going to pull this through. Back in a bit. Thread the needle. And then decide which side we want the top or the bottom to be. I think this will be the top. And now sewing on is fairly simple. If you have not sewn before, we're really just kind of doing loops, kind of like a whip stitch. So first we're going to go down into our pumpkin and then come over here on this side. And I'm sorry, I'm probably blocking the camera view. And just pull through like so. And we do that all the way around. Now you can definitely pin this with pins if you would like to keep it where you want it to be. Definitely not a problem. Trying to make sure that my hand is not constantly in the camera view so that you can actually see what I'm doing. You can go around a couple of times with this. I haven't quite gotten to the other side yet, but to make sure it is sturdy and stable, you can go around a couple of times. Okay, I think this might be our last stitch. Of course, I might just be extra and I might go a little bit more. Yep, I'm gonna do one more. Okay, so here is generally how it is stitched on. You can see that. And I'm just gonna go again over here. I'm going to kind of make a little knot here. And then weave my hook in. And I'm going to send this all the way down to the bottom, like we did earlier when we squished it down a little bit. But I'm not going to tighten this. What I'm doing is I'm pulling it a little bit and then cutting this. What's going to happen is that it's going to go right back inside the pumpkin. Just like that. Okay, zoom out again. Here he is. Here's our fabulous little pumpkin. Not little pumpkin, but pumpkin. What do you think? Okay. Go ahead and work on yours. Please send me pictures. I would love to see your work. You can send them to my email or to my Facebook or Instagram accounts. I will link those. The Facebook and Instagram are actually, everything is linked down in the description box. So let me go ahead and clean up, and I will see you in a few minutes. I'm really proud of this one, and I hope that you guys loved it. Okay. Yay, we did it. We completed our first project today. I am super, super thrilled, and I hope you're so proud of yourselves. If you got hung up in the process, that's okay. You can rewatch the video over and over again, or even send me a message via my email, which is in the description box, comment down below, or through Instagram or my Facebook pages, which are also in the description box. Please do not hesitate. I am not feeling like you're bugging me. I would absolutely love for you to contact me, and we can work through any of the struggles. So I'm super psyched about our finished pumpkin. I love how squishy and soft and big he is, or she, or it, whatever you want to say. I hope you're proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. Anywho, so thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm glad that you made it. I'm glad that you stuck through. If you're still in there, working through it, it's okay. Pause the video, go back. Not a big deal. That's why I kind of went slow, so that you can check it as you go. Anyways, so I'm super proud of you, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video to continue on our basic Beaches and Bros beginner crochet tutorial adventure. All right. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.